Amnesia Rebirth is the latest game by the studio Frictional Games, and for me personally, I would consider it the true successor to Amnesia: The Dark Descent. That isn't to say that it's a perfect game or necessarily improved upon the previous one in all ways, but I will say that at the very least, it's not a machine for pigs. To list just a couple of the improvements that this game has made compared to its predecessor, outside of the obvious graphical improvements, we now have a fully voiced protagonist, a diegetic interface that more so focuses on in-world elements as opposed to a menu or HUD, and certain items can be used more intuitively, which is to say that your matches can now be used like matches, that is to say, used multiple times at once and used as its own light source. Whereas in the previous game, The Dark Descent, you could only use one of them at a time for a single candle and could not be used as an alternative light source from your lantern. In this game, you play as a Parisian woman named Tassi, and on a trip to Algiers with her husband, something goes wrong during the plane ride, resulting in a crash and subsequent amnesia, hence the title. One thing I'll say about this game is that it is a thematically holistic experience, and I mean that to say everything from the story to the gameplay to the visuals all tie around its central theme, which is the subtitle of this game, Rebirth. This statement is in relation to the previously mentioned Machine for Pigs not necessarily being up to snuff for being a successor, whereas Machine for Pigs add themes of the industrial era, war, capitalism as its central premise. The gameplay did not reflect that. Whereas in this game, you play as a mother who is concerned for the well-being of their husband and their child, and the elements of the game directly incorporate into you being a parent. This is going to be a significant spoiler for the next segment, so be aware of that if you're going to hear my explanation about the gameplay being integral to the themes of the game. After a significant portion of the game has passed, Tassi will find that she is pregnant by several more months than she expected to be and can actively feel the baby kicking. What was that? Wait.
Oh.
Hey.
That was you. I can feel you. I felt you move.
Hey.
Hello. Hello, my little one. I hope you're not hurt. Don't you worry. We'll get you home.
In case you check on it to reduce your fear. Ah, that's nice. Not only does she actually speak to the child from time to time, which gives us some opportunities for character development and exposition, but when the baby kicks, there'll be a blue light at the bottom of the screen, which will indicate that the baby is active, and if you hold down X on your keyboard, which is to say the baby button, you can check on them, and it will actually reduce your overall fear level, which in this case replaces the sanity meter from the previous game. This is not only something that is a perfect integration of what a mother would do with their child that they are carrying, but it also ties into a motivation for the player to continue to check up on them, as it is beneficial for you to be able to have reduced fear, mainly because of the effects it presents for you. Reduced vision and the occasional jump scare. There's something of note that I think is going to be relevant as far as the discussion of this game, and that is to say, Amnesia Rebirth is not as scary as The Dark Descent. And that is relevant because they're both horror games, and that is the primary goal. So while I enjoyed Tassi as a character much better in this game, and I found the thematic elements to be much more enjoyable compared to the other games in the series, it is absolutely, unquestionably, less scary than previous entries, for a variety of reasons. One of the primary reasons that I found it to be not quite that scary in comparison is that most of the enemies that I've encountered have a sort of one last chance mechanic, which is to say, if you get caught, you have to wiggle the mouse and mash the WASD keys, And then, if you succeed or do it fast enough, then you have an opportunity to run away while they are stunned.
Get the fuck off me!
How can you live?
Fuck. This isn't necessarily bad in the sense of how an action game would work or an adventure game would work, but this is supposed to be a horror game, which is to say, I shouldn't feel like the enemies are just a quick time event for me to get past. They should feel like an insurmountable foe. Amnesia has always been about the fact that you cannot overpower your enemies, so allowing you to literally overpower your enemies, even if it's just for a brief moment to flee, can lead to some, we'll say, conflicting ideas. Overall, my evaluation of the game is that I very much enjoyed the character and the story, while the actual elements of scares and horror were a bit lacking. And so this game, in all honesty, is not quite as good as The Dark Descent. Not by a huge margin, but it is enough to say that I was expecting a bit more. Although, my expectations were relatively low going in, because at this point, I just wanted it to be better than A Machine for Pigs, which was a huge disappointment, and comparing this game, Rebirth, to that game, it is absolutely no contest which one is a better designed game from top to bottom. Thank you very much for watching, and we appreciate you sticking with us for this whole month-long Halloween adventure of more videos than usual. If you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe. We will be uploading regularly, not necessarily as regularly as we have been in October, but there is definitely more content on the way. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.